Good morning, race fans, and welcome back to the Metro Ford Cup Series here at the Old Bastards Racing League. Today, we are well into the playoffs and at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, the Roval, the road course, 2.25 miles, where we're going to watch some Titans make their way around and see if they can move a little bit further up into the standings, trying to make it to the next round of playoffs. As always, I'm your host, James East, bringing the action 1080p 60 frames a second. On behalf of Team Goon Squad, thank you as always to the fans, friends, and family tune in, supporting the league, supporting the drivers, as well as supporting the broadcast. Let us know where you're from, who you're cheering on, as single car qualifying is underway. Let's take a look and see who is out on track. Looks like John Hinchcliffe currently making his way around in the number 8 machine. Always an interesting time when we get the drivers out onto a road course, allowing some of the dark horse road racing pros to come out of the woodwork, show what they can put on. And we are getting ready to move to the next round of playoffs, where we're only going to have 8 drivers making their way to the next round. Right now, we've got 12 drivers in the hunt. Wayne MacArthur, Eddie Jones, Mike Watts, John Hinchcliffe, Greg McDaniel, Dean Gear, Ken Huff, Tom Ogle, Brian Lindsay, Dakota Pischke, Lloyd Moore, and Steve Thompson, the 12 drivers that are going to try and make it to the next round of 8. So it's going to be interesting to see who can make it. Hinchcliffe comes around for his second time lap. He's currently has not put down a clean lap yet. The number 8 Chevrolet makes his way into the final chicane. Hinchcliffe clicks off a 121.85, good enough for 4th. Michael Watts still sitting on pole. Watts an odds-on favorite to do well here. I believe he was also the fastest driver in practice. As we check in on Robert Garisco's 28 Ford Mustang. A little bit less than 3 minutes left in qualifying. Now, something a little bit different here on the road series as well, as the drivers will have one fast repair. If they find themselves wadding up a little bit prematurely, they can go back to pit road, use that get out of jail free card, and get back out onto the course. And this is scheduled and slated to be a one-stop race. Looks like Dan Hill's going to go out late in qualifying as well. Not sure if he's going to get more than one lap here, as Robert Garisco makes his way through NASCAR 3 and 4 into the final chicane. Garisco currently qualified 11th, trying to improve on a 126.19. What's it going to be? A 126.02, so finding a little bit of time, but not enough to move up in the standings. Let's check in on Dan Hill's number 10 machine. Going out late here for qualifying. I don't think Hill's going to be able to get down at time, but maybe just looking for a little bit more seat time, getting a little bit more familiar with the track. Looks like about 19 drivers have showed up for this main event. A little bit lighter grid than we've seen in the past. And yes, we get confirmation Hill will not be able to put down a lap time here. So just doing it for the seat time and a little to no pressure environment here in qualifying. White flag will soon be out for qualifying as we're focused on Hill, just getting a little bit of practice there in that number 10. And that's going to do it here for qualifying. The Charlotte Roval waiting for the drivers to make their way out onto the grid. And let's go ahead and run through the grid for today's main event. Michael Watts puts it on pole in the 84 machine. Eddie Jones starting second. Dwayne McArthur, the fast Canadian, starting third. John Hinchcliffe starts fourth. Cam Chastain starting fifth. Tom Ogle will be starting sixth. Dakota Pischke starts seventh. Garrett Cottingham starts eighth. Brian Lindsay starting ninth. Greg McDaniel starting 10th. Robert Garisco starts 11th. Dean Gear starting 12th. Cycling it back, we've got Dan Hill starting 13th, Ken Huff starting 14th, Lloyd Moore starts 15th, Joey Buscemi starting 16th, Chris Sidner starts 17th, John Hastings starts 18th, and Larry Corey will round out the 19-car grid here today. As we wait for that iRacing safety car to make its way out. And here we go for sighting lap before we get things kicked off and fired up here at the Metro Ford Cup Series. It's going to be Watts and Jones on the front row. McArthur, Hinchcliffe, your second row. Shosey and Ogle, your third row. Cam Shosey, the number 13 machine, just getting appointed his double-digit numbers, getting promoted out of the rookie class. And able to come qualify with the big dogs in that Taco Bell backed Camaro. Going to be very interesting to see how things pan out here at the Roval. A lot of these drivers wouldn't consider themselves road racing professionals, so it's always interesting to see what they can do when they come out and make something happen. Making our way down the backstretch here at Charlotte. Pace car will be coming in this time by. Some drivers take an alternative route through the chicane. Now it's going to be an interesting start here. Some drivers will be way before the kink. When that green flag drops, and maybe starting in a bit of a precarious position here. We'll get ready as the pace car comes down pit road. Green flag is out. Away we go. And Watts is going to have a massive advantage charging into turn one. MacArthur takes a peek the inside line of Jones. And everybody's going to try and get slotted in here. Already we've got problems for Cottingham. A big crash. Oh, a massive crash. It's a parking lot here at Charlotte. And let's already take a look at that replay queued up. As Cottingham stuck in a parking lot in turn one. Oh, Cottingham loses the back end. The field comes charging in. Nowhere to go. And what an exciting start here at the Metro Ford Cup Series. Up front, Watts has built up a very quick 1.3, 1.4 second lead over MacArthur. MacArthur's shuffled up into second. Now in that early incident, it was Garrett Cottingham, Dean Gear, Greg McDaniel, Lloyd Moore, Ken Huff, Buscemi, Sidnor, Hastings, Corey, all showing involved in that one. And the fireworks coming out early at the Roval. Another good battle we have going on track. We pan back to Dan Hill. He's got Robert Marisco's 28 machine and hot pursuit. Hill up 5 spots so far. Marisco up 2 positions. Dakota Pischke has come down pit road, showing Brian Lindsay involved. Oh, I think that's going to be a turn 1 incident. Oh, and then it comes Dean Gear and Ken Huff. No, that was Greg McDaniel, excuse me. Almost doing the exact same thing and charging in. So here's the replay of Lindsay's number 24 machine. I think he's just going to overcook it into 1 here. Yeah, locks up the brakes. Lawn darts into the safety barrier, but watch this. Greg McDaniel comes smoking the tires in as well. Greg McDaniel qualified 10th in the Kimball Knott Chevrolet. Currently running 10th out on track. You can see Ken Huff just behind him as well. Pischke is going to roll out of pit road, getting a little bit of damage repairs done, getting back out on track. It's still great racing all across the circuit here. Let's pan back to Larry Corey's number 17 machine. He's running 14th out on track, up 5 spots. We're waiting for the camera to catch it because he's got Dean Gear and John Hastings right behind him. Michael Watts clicks off the fastest lap of the race on 121.93 as he is starting to check out up front, and we pan back to Dean, the Pickleman Gears 92 machine, but he's going to yield a spot to John Hastings. I wonder if he got a slowdown there. And now here comes Cottingham. Not quite sure if maybe Gear had a slowdown penalty or maybe has some damage as he's very rapidly falling off the pace here. Brian Lindsay, we saw him stick the nose into the wall. He's down pit road getting some repairs done. We've got Dustin Martinson joining us over here on the YouTube side of the broadcast. Always great having him show up. And as he said, that could have been way, way worse than that lap 1, turn 1 incident. Three laps into our main event, Michael Watts has pulled just about a 2-second advantage over MacArthur. And it looks like the field's starting to stretch out slightly here. Now this is where Watts is definitely most happy. He's out front, clean track ahead and behind, and showed about 0.2 faster than MacArthur in second place that last time by. Watts with a 121.58, MacArthur a 121.76. Now MacArthur at this stage of the playoffs is our current points leader. So he knows he's not in a must-win situation, but he's in a must-be consistent situation. Starting to see some more racing action going on. Greg McDaniel catching up to Lloyd Morris 26, down to a half second between the two. Let's see McDaniel trying so hard to close the gap to catch that draft off the back of the 26 machine. Looks like Moore gaining a little bit of time on the brakes into the chicane, pulling about 0.4 advantage there over McDaniel. Cottingham, the number 77 machine involved in that lap 1 incident. Qualified 8th, currently 16th. Looks like he's trying to close the gap to Larry Corey, John Hastings, who run 14th and 15th, just ahead of the bright yellow 77 machine. And it looks like Cottingham's going to have a lot of work here to do to crawl back up in the standings. We're expecting the fuel window to open up around lap 25 and close on lap 35 for these drivers. And there are no full course cautions here this evening. Just local yellows, so we will not be seeing any full course cautions. And I do like the moniker that was given to Michael Watts. Mike the Road Ringer Watts is out front by 2.25 seconds. We're currently focusing on Cottingham, trying to crawl his way back up the standings. Watts just getting faster and faster up front as well. 121.29, a new fastest lap for the race. Oh, and a little bit of lockup there. I couldn't tell if that was from Hastings or Corey. Hard on the brakes. A puff of smoke in that chicane before coming back out into NASCAR 3 and 4. A little bit further ahead, Eddie Jones still sitting in third. He's down 1 spot from where he qualified. He's got Hinchcliffe, the number 8 machine, closing that gap ever so slightly. It was up to over a second at one point. Now down to a half a second. As Hinchcliffe putting his head down, just focus on hitting his marks in that number 8 machine. Pin it back. Meanwhile, Garrett Cottingham moving back up into 15th, making his way around Larry Corey 17 now. Still has Sean Hastings ahead of him. Oh no, and around goes Cottingham. A big hit to the back bumper, just loses the rear for the second time this evening. That was a great time to pan the camera over the 77 machine. Let's take a look once more, see what happened there. On the Metro Ford Cup instant replay, trying to see, does he grab a little bit too much curbing? Looks, maybe, yeah, just got that front right up a little bit much, and around she goes. And just drills the outside wall here at Charlotte. Hastings making his way around Chris Sidner. Now, I think that's going to be the tail of the tail tonight. It's just a bunch of single car incidents. As the fans saying, hey, if these cars snap loose and go around, you're just going to hold on and enjoy the ride. Robert Garisco finds himself in a 3-car battle for 8th. It's Garisco, Moore, McDaniel just behind. You can see Ken Huff and Joey Buscemi linked up as well. Garisco currently 8th, out on track, up 3 spots from where he qualified. The fans also saying that number 77 of Cottingham may be needing to visit our infield care center. As look at that, Greg McDaniel, Lloyd Moore side by side through the final chicane. Lloyd Moore had a bit of an off-track excursion there. Hinchcliffe up front fourth. Still very slowly closing the gap to Jones, down to 0.4 of a second. You can see Hinchcliffe all the way up against the wall to try and get that turn in as optimal as he possibly can, chasing down Jones, the number 14 machine. Looks like Jones has a little bit better drive, come out the high bankings here at Charlotte, pulls up another 1/10 or 2/10 to his advantage. Jones focusing hard on the slow in, fast out method that makes you such a good road racer. And Jones only down 1 spot from where he qualified. And you can see Tom Ogle linked up with Dan Hill, running 5th and 6th. Not too far behind this battle for 3rd. Let's check in on Ogle as he tries to defend that 5th place spot. He's got Dan Hill, the number 10 machine, who is up 7 positions. Hill did not qualify here so far tonight and has been slowly closing the gap here. Now, both drivers just about equally matched on pace. We got Miss Connie Robinson here watching from Charleston, South Carolina, cheering on the pit boss. It looks like Hill's backed out of ever so slightly. That or Ogle has wicked it up. We'll see what the lap time says. They can cross this time by. Ogle 123.17. And Hill actually a little bit faster with a 123.08. Ogle in his patented pumpkin spice white claw back to number 11 Ford Mustang. Fueling the season, and oh no, where did Hill go? Hill comes in way too deep. Well done holding on to it there, but I thought for certain he was going to drill that outside wall. Joey Buscemi picks up a spot from Lloyd Moore, moving that number 56 up into 11th, up 5 spots. So as predicted, it's a single car incident kind of evening. As Garisco and McDaniel still having a battle for 8th. There's McDaniel. And the number 30 machine trying to track down the 28. Looks like Garisco just gets a little bit better drive back on the banking and gives himself a breather while McDaniel has been seemingly closing the gap on the infield. And already Garisco's pulled the gap back to about a half second. There's McDaniel, the number 30 machine, trying to close the gap, hard on the brakes. That's a great example of slow in, fast out. McDaniel comes charging in at a much higher rate of speed. Garisco gets it slowed down early on to set up for the corner and get the best drive out of the corner. And that's what's allowing that number 28 machine to extend that gap. Gary Cottingham checking up and getting right back to Chris Sidner's number 29 machine. You also see Larry Corey in the background, the 17 machine. And the 3-car battle for 14th. Cottingham has the pace, does not quite have the consistency that he's looking for here this evening. They build up about a 1.2 second gap over Larry Corey in 16th. Cottingham's going to try and set something up here, I think, against Sidner. It's going to be interesting to see where he tries to make that move at, if he does. Sidner at this point maybe just trying to play it safe. As that back right crumpled up on the 77 machine, a bit of a reminder. Looks like Sidner goes high here to allow Cottingham by. And maybe watch and see what he can learn from the 77 machine, who has been, again, very quick. Is still searching for that consistency he's going to need in future road races to get up inside the top 5. Checking back in on Michael Watts, your race leader. We got a few drivers a lap or two down. Dakota Pischke, Dean Gear, Brian Lindsay a lap down. We've got 16 drivers still on the lead lap. What was it? Looks like Greg McDaniel has made a move on Robert Garisco. So McDaniel's going to crawl up into 8th. Garisco is going to have to settle for 9th for the time being. That's still good racing all across the Roval here today. Speaking of, looks like Ken Huff has company from Joey Buscemi's number 56 being. Good to see Buscemi riding around more. We haven't seen him as much this season, so always a pleasure having that 56 machine back out on the track. It looks like Huff's going to hold on to it. And now Buscemi may have company from John Hastings. There's Buscemi in the 56 machine. He was only getting a little bit of love from the fans earlier on. Hastings putting his head down the 32 machine to see if he can try and catch up to that 56. Now it looks like all 19 drivers who started this main event still out on track, still making it happen. So maybe that one fast repair helping out a little bit, that get out of jail free card. Hastings putting down the hammer here right now, trying to catch up to the 10th and 11th place drivers just ahead of them. As our fans so aptly point out, the field very stacked here on a Sunday morning. These guys are extremely good drivers in just about every discipline. So some drivers out here searching for a career best. That could be a top 10, top 12, as we see Hastings make an inside pass on Buscemi. Here comes Lloyd Moore as well as Garrett Cottingham joining the party. I think there could be some fireworks here. And we've got problems as Robert Garisco showing involved in an incident, taking a tow back to pit road. Brian Lindsay was also involved, I think, in that same crash. Let's take a quick look, see what happened to Garisco in the 28 machine. Is it going to be another turn one incident? Cooking in too deep. Oh, it looks like it's going to be. Garisco drilling the outside wall, missing the safety barrier, and coming face to face with a bit of concrete. Now, was this the same incident Brian Lindsay was in? I don't think it was. So Garisco is going to take a tow back to pit road. And let's see what happened to Lindsay in number 24 machine. Looks like this one's going to be in the chicane. Comes in too deep. No harm, no foul. As, we get another crash report. Garrett Cottingham. I think it might have been the exact same thing. Cottingham may have had problems in that backstretch chicane. So he's going to come in hard on the brakes, way too hard, throwing it in deep. More than 26 locks it up. And somehow Dwayne MacArthur has been shown in a crash. The replay button get abused here tonight. Let's see what happened to MacArthur, the Fast Canadian, the 83. Oh, MacArthur loses the back end. Somehow keeps it off the wall. And things are getting exciting about 17 laps in. My goodness. Still have what I believe 15 drivers on the lead lap. Robert Garisco showing in pit road. As there's John Hastings making a move on Ken Huff's 46 machine. Hastings going to make it 9 spots gain, as he is our hard charger so far this evening. MacArthur is going to take this time to come down pit road. Robert Garisco getting back out on track in the 28. As I think Hastings checks up heavily there. Ken Huff closes the gap. MacArthur is going to be the first driver down pit road. Brian Lindsay also going to come down pit road for a green flag stop. So MacArthur going for quite the undercut. As we wait to see if Huff can close the gap. We've seen a bit of fireworks between these drivers already. As we go on board with the 46 machine of Ken Huff. MacArthur rolls out of pit road. Both Hastings and Huff getting through the chicane just fine. Buscemi starting to close the gap behind them. And look at the freight train behind Buscemi. That's more. Cottingham right there in tow. I think Cottingham, 2023, keep an eye on that number 77 machine. I think once he gets the car control underneath him, he is going to be a fast driver. We're going to be calling him in the top 5 as he almost loses the back end. As that's happening, Michael Watts, Eddie Jones comes down pit road. But again, I think once Cottingham gets this dialed in, he's going to be very, very quick. So as the green flag stops are open, that's going to put Hinchcliffe, Ogle, Hill, Watts, MacArthur, your top 5. Your top 3 have yet to come down pit road here. And Ogle has Hill and Watts right behind him. Excuse me. Yeah, Watts in 4th. He came down pit road on lap 18, getting things started on pit road. 1 lap after MacArthur came down. Now, an interesting point of topping, a little bit different than we've seen in the past compared to the oval. Drivers not taking tires on that pit stop. Reporting before the broadcast that the tires are actually better the more they get burned in here. Cam Shosey, Larry Corey, Dakota Pischke all down pit road. Ogle and Hill come down pit road, almost getting contact between Hill and Ogle. So Hinchcliffe's still going to be your race leader as Michael Watts, after that pit stop, is putting his head down and just making it happen here. You're going to be able to see what the time split's going to be between Watts and MacArthur as it updates. Really, it's going to be about a 12.5 second advantage to the 12.5 second advantage to the number 84 of Michael Watts over MacArthur. Hinchcliffe still your race leader, but he has yet to come down pit road. Still all drivers out on track making it happen. Jeff Lyden giving a shout out for the Army car. As Hinchcliffe comes down pit road. I'm trying to think who's in the Army car. It's not Dan Hill. I thought he was in an Air Force machine. Big blink there from Hill. Yeah, Hill in an Air Force. Got to remember who's driving the Army car here tonight. So as these green flag stops continue to cycle out. Garrett Cottingham triggering the crash report and then taking a tow back to pit road. A light grab on the outside wall and absolutely lawn darts it in. Cunningham takes a tow back to pit road. He's going to be our first driver retiring, I believe. Okay, we get confirmation. Lighton was talking about Hale's Air Force back number 10 race car. Make sure I wasn't missing something up in the booth. It definitely wouldn't be the first time I have. As Watts continues his charge up front, penning back to Eddie Jones, who's now in fourth. He's got Tom Ogle and Dan Hill right behind him. Drivers running fourth, fifth, and sixth. You can see Hinchcliffe, the number 8 machine. That's the last podium spot available. So Jones is going to try and make something happen here. But Hinchcliffe and Jones, almost identical fastest laps of the race so far. Hinchcliffe a 1:22.52, Jones a 1:22.50 as their fastest laps. Now it's all going to come down to consistency for these drivers, as we've seen quite a fair share of single car incidents. Looks like Jones catching up to Hinchcliffe ever so slightly, leaving Ogle and Hill behind. Hinchcliffe in the bright purple number 8, Jones the white and orange number 14, Ogle the predominantly orange number 11, and Hill the Air Force back number 10 machine. Starting to bunch up a little bit here, 3rd through 6th. Now it looks like Cottingham is going to get back out on track. As we're focused in on Ogle. Trying to catch up the number 14 machine, all the while seeing if he can fend off Dan Hill. Now your top 6 drivers have a 19-second breakaway from the rest of the field here. And don't forget Ogle, who we're currently focused on in 5th. He's about 30 seconds back from your race leader, Michael Watts, who is absolutely checking out. Ooh, Hill heavy on the brakes there into 1. Doing whatever is in his power to catch up to that White Claw-backed Ford Mustang. Hill trying to close the gap. He's got it down about a half second behind Ogle. Well, these drivers are so equally matched on pace, it's tough to make any big moves here. Now, I did see a little bit of lap traffic ahead, and that could play a factor, especially if drivers are trying to go too wide into the chicane. I believe that was Larry Corey, the number 17 machine, going a lap down. He quickly hopped out of the racing line to allow these drivers by. And that may give Ogle a little bit of a reprieve here. He's still second back from Jones, about 9/10 up over Dan Hill. As Hill has been just abusing the brakes on the number 10 machine to try and close that gap. And Ogle's still not quite able to catch up to Jones. Jones has pulled another, looks like a quarter of a second over the number 11. Lloyd Moore coming down pit road for his first stop of the evening. Now, interesting point of topic. Looks like it's going to be 7th through about 11th place. 4 drivers have yet to come down pit road here so far this evening. Stretching the run out a little bit more as we are officially at the halfway mark of today's main event. Moore rolling out of pit road. Now I'm surprised to see drivers coming down pit road so early this season. Around that 17 to 20 mark is where we saw most of the drivers with their first scheduled stop. We were thinking it's going to be a one-stop race for these guys. About 35 laps is the limit we were expecting them to do on one tank of fuel. As Oval starting to close the gap slightly to Eddie Jones. Jones tied up a little bit of traffic. That's Grandpa Pischke in the number 1 machine. Going a lap down to our 4th place driver, Jones, and that may have allowed Oval and Hill a chance to close the gap. Jones wasn't able to get the big run he was looking for down the NASCAR portions of the track. Grabs a little bit of curbing, a tiny bobble. May allow Oval to catch up to the 4th place driver. Now Jones 2.5 seconds back from Hinchcliffe in 3rd. 25 laps left to go here at the Charlotte Roval. It's starting to tighten up here, but Oval, instead of battling with Jones, now has Hill in hot pursuit. The 3-car battle for 4 still going on. Now John Hastings, Ken Huff coming down pit road for their 1 scheduled stop of the evening. Watts, MacArthur, Hinchcliffe, still your top 3. Oh, Hill has a big bobble coming out of the chicane, allowing Oval a chance to stretch the gap to 2 seconds now over Hill, and he has closed the gap to 6/10 over Eddie Cajun Jones, that number 14 machine sitting in 4th. Now we had a good question. Is Watts backing off the pace? MacArthur starting to close the gap. Last time by, Watts on 122.88. He was 7/10 slower than MacArthur that last time by. But I think what we may be seeing here is Watts cutting through a large amount of traffic. We have whittled it down to 8 drivers on the lead lap. So if I had to wager, I would say the lap time differential is coming from who gets to cut through traffic. Where we saw it just a few laps prior, Jones getting stuck behind lap drivers before the all-important chicanes. Such crucial sections where you really build up some momentum for the NASCARs 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. As we see it again, Watts cutting through the field. I believe that was Cottingham with our 77 machine. So Watts picking his passes very carefully here, not wanting to put himself in that vortex of danger, and definitely not wanting to risk throwing away a massive lead. Now it is down to 9.7 seconds. As speaking of problems, Tom Ogle, Dan Hill have both made their way around Eddie Jones, moving up to 4th and 5th. Jones drops back to 6th. Ogle has quickly put a 2-second gap over the pair. As we check back in on Michael Watts, your race leader, wait to see what type of clean track or exciting track he has ahead of him. Buscemi coming down pit road. It's going to make it 7 drivers on the lead lap. Cottingham showing involved in an off-track excursion. No crash report, though. As Bushimi gets back out on track, leaving pit road after his one and only stop. Watts, last time by, a full second slower than MacArthur. Now we are expecting up to 35 laps out of a run, out of the fuel for these drivers. So that should still leave Watts, MacArthur about 3 extra laps here at the end, but I do wonder, they came down and short pitted a massive undercut on pit road. Are they maybe having to do some mid-late race fuel calculations here? That time by, Watts sets his fastest lap of the race with the clean air in front of him, a 121.16. I believe that's going to put him a full half-second faster on hot laps than any other driver out on track. And again, this is Watts' original set of tires. He is still on. He just took fuel on lap 18, a 9-second pit stop. So Watts feeling very, very good here. Has extended that gap back to 10 seconds over MacArthur, the fast Canadian. Also the only Canadian out on track. We don't want to detract from how well he's doing here. "20 laps left to go here at the Charlotte Roval. 6 drivers on the lead lap. That's Watts, MacArthur, Hinchcliffe, Ogle, Hill, and Jones. And even those top 6 spread out by 30 seconds here. Now we knew coming into tonight that Watts was going to do well, but who would have guessed how well he'd be doing here? As he is checking it off, making it look easy. Now coming into tonight, he was 3rd in points. So he should be pretty well and secure into the next round of playoffs. And I agree with the fan sentiment, especially Dustin Martinson. We need more Canadians out here on track on a Sunday morning here at the Metro Ford Cup Series. And if you're a first-time viewer, check them out, obrl.net. Minimum age, 35 years or older to join any of their race series. They run the ARCA cars, the trucks, Xfinity, and of course every Sunday, the Metro Ford Cup Series. And still good racing across the track. If we go back to around the 14th spot, there's a little more Larry Corey, Brian Lindsay. But Ken Huff finds himself pointing the wrong direction, the 46 machine. He's going to lose 1 spot to Bushimi. And let's see what happened to Huff. Ooh, it looks like a little bit too deep. A little bit of curving, upsets the car. And around it goes, keeps it off the wall. Now Brian Lindsay has made the move on Larry Corey's number 17 machine. Lindsay moving up into 15. And it looks like Lindsay really wanted to catch up to Lloyd Moore's 26 and see if he can take over that 14th place spot. About to have a good battle for 14th. There's no. Lindsay makes it happen very quick there against the 26 of Moore. As this is again the 3-car battle for 14th we have out on track. Brian Lindsay, Lloyd Moore, Larry Corey separated by about 1 second here. Moore closes the gap to Lindsay, back to 6/10. He's got Corey 6/10 off the back of his rear bumper as they all charge down turn 1. Very much an evening of consistency as Moore drills the wall there. It also showed Greg McDaniel in a crash. So Lloyd Moore, look at the front right, all out of kilter. Ooh. Is Moore going to be able to complete the lap and get down to pit road? He's got a half lap left to go here at Charlotte. If he's going to try and limp it to pit road, he quickly gets off the racing line, but I don't think he can turn left very well. That front right completely knocked out here. Does Moore still have a fast repair in his back pocket? I think Moore's going to take the off track here. Yeah, wisely going through the chicane, not having anything of it. And let's see, he's got a quarter of a lap left to go. Can he limp it to pit road? I think he's going to make it here. I think he's got clean track behind him. Look at that, Lloyd Moore makes it to pit road with 3 wheels. Well done. Still a 3-car battle now for 13th. Lindsay, Sidner, Corey. Separated by about 1.5 seconds here. Corey putting the pressure on the number 29. As Lindsay extends that gap just ever so slightly. And again, still all 19 drivers out on track here. And what is very quickly becoming a race of attrition for several drivers. Waiting to see, is Corey going to try and make a move on Sidner? With 16 laps left to go, not a lot of time left to make any massive moves. I think consistency was going to bring home good results for most of these drivers. Corey has the gap down to 4/10, gains to 5/10. Looks like Sidner a little bit deeper on the brakes. Corey easing on to him to get set up, and no, around goes Corey. Oh, saves it there out of the chicane. As the fans pointed out very early in the broadcast, as these next-gen Cup cars start to spin out for you, you're along for the ride and just enjoying the show. Well done to Corey, able to hold on to. We've seen some great saves here and some great strategy calls is what I'm going to decide to name them. We're watching Lindsay's number 24 machine. He's about 4 seconds back from Buscemi, but closing that gap rather quickly, about 2.3 seconds up over Ken Huff, the 46. I think Lindsay may have some lap down drivers in front of him. That was Dean Gear's 92 machine. And with Lindsay fighting through traffic, that's giving Buscemi a little bit more time to extend that gap, trying to hold on that 11th place spot. Now Buscemi in 11th, he's about 17 seconds back from Dakota Pischke, who runs 10th. So a top 10 may be out of the cards here for Buscemi, but we've seen drivers have big incidents early on and doing it kind of by themselves, as I think I just saw Dean Gear come cooking the brakes. Yes, I did in that chicane. As you go back up front, Tom Ogle sitting in 4th. I've seen the live timing software blink a few times, showing that Hill had that gap down to less than a second. Ogle the number 11, Hill the number 10, running 4th and 5th. Now Ogle's about 5 seconds back from Hinchcliffe's number 8 machine. And he has been running about a 10th faster than Hinchcliffe most laps. So that 5.1 second advantage that Hinchcliffe has, I don't know if Ogle's going to have enough time to make it up here just on lap times alone. He's going to have to hope for some sort of mistake inside the top 3. As Garrett Cottingham finds himself lawn darted to the inside line. Looks like that's going to be through turn 1. Oh, just ahead of Hinchcliffe as well, who's in 3rd. Absolutely drilling the safety barrier. So Hinchcliffe has to be happy he wasn't involved in that one. And I think Hill may have had some sort of incident as well, because now Eddie Jones has closed the gap back to number 10 machine, as Ogle has stretched or gained about 8/10 over Hill in 5th. Jones wants to get back inside the top 5. But we just get a report. Dan Hill. We were pulling up some stats the other scene. Let's see what happened to Hill, the number 10 machine. Too much curbing. Spins it around, giving Eddie Jones an easy 5th place spot. Working his way up inside the top 5. Hill whips it around. We check in on Michael Watts, your race leader. Still slicing and dicing through traffic here. 6 drivers still in the lead. 5 is Watts, MacArthur, Hinchcliffe, Ogle, Jones, your top 5. Last time by was Watts' fastest lap, and that was also the fastest lap of the race, a 120.95. So Watts feeling great here late into the run. So not much backing out of it for the 84 machine. And if we go a little bit further back in the field, looks like it's going to be Cam Shosey, John Hastings, Dakota Pischke. Running 8th, 9th, and 10th, separated by about 1.2 seconds. Shosey again, the newly appointed, I think the newest appointed double-digit driver here at the Metro Ford Cup Series. Shosey holding on to that 8th place spot, as it looks like Hastings has a lot of pressure from Pischke's number 1 machine. Pischke holding on to a top 10, about a quarter of a second off the back bumper of Hastings here. Shosey breaking away ever so slightly from these two drivers. Oh, we just heard Dan Hill involved in another incident, the number 10 machine. Oh, there's Hill just ahead of this pack. Shosey on the high line. Pischke and Hastings making their way through here. What's it going to be into the final chicane? Shosey holds on to it in the 8th place spot. Hastings and Pischke in hot pursuit. Hastings takes a peek at the inside line through turn 1, opts out of it, deciding not to pressure the issue. And we've still got that replay queued up of Dan Hill, but we're going to wait on that until these drivers spread out just a little bit, if they do, because they are going at it here with 10 laps left to go. It's Shosey, Hastings, Pischke, 8th, 9th, and 10th. Pischke all over the back bumper of Hastings. And it looks like they're spread out ever so slightly. Let's see what happened to Dan Hill's number 10 machine. Just ahead of that current race pack we're watching. Looks like it's going to be the backstretch chicane. Ooh. Oh no, Hill with a massive hard hit to that front left, and you can see that 3-pack coming behind him, and I didn't realize how close it was. Shosey taking evasive maneuvers there. Well done. The newly appointed double-digit driver showing he's got the right racecraft. Now in pit road for extended stays is Dean Gear, Garrett Cottingham, Lloyd Moore. Lloyd Moore gets back out on track. I'm very surprised that Hill has not had to come down pit road here, because that was a massive hit to the front left of that number 10 Air Force backed machine. We go on board with Dakota Pischke's number 1. He's still holding on to a top 10 finish here. And a bird's eye view of Shosey and Hastings linked up nose to tail. Pischke very ginger on the throttle. We've seen so many drivers spinning around here, and he does not want to be one of them. But Lloyd Moore, John Hastings, all over the back of Shosey's number 13 machine. So it looked like a bit of a bobble there from Hastings, allowing Pischke to rejoin the party. Hastings right on the back of Shosi. These drivers all so evenly matched on pace. Oh, here we come. Pischke takes a look at the inside line of Hastings, not able to make it happen. Hastings keeps the hammer down, trying to close up the Shosi. These two drivers separated by less than 0.7 of a second. Pischke has a big run, gaining a whole lot of steam on Hastings. Into the final chicane before we cross the start-finish line. 7 laps left to go here at Charlotte. This is the battle for 8th out on track. The 3 closest drivers, Shosi, Hastings, Pischke. In the background, you can see Dan Hill's number 10 machine. He is 6th overall, a lap ahead of these drivers. Hastings doing everything he can to try and make something happen. Looks like Pischke with a big bobble there. Letting Dan Hill back around, and Hill just biding his time, not wanting to get tied up in this race. As he's a lap ahead, no sense risking that car even more. Just has to make it 6 more laps here at the Roval. Shosi pulls about a 6/10 gap over Hastings. Shosi still down 3 spots from where he qualified. Started off the race in 5th, fell back to 8th. But definitely earning it here as Hastings keeps the pressure on the Taco Bell back 13. 16 laps left to go here at the Roval. Still all 19 drivers on the lead lap. Well, looks like Hastings got a little bit loose. Pischke gets even more loose behind. Able to collect himself and keep it pointing the right direction on the track, but these drivers are on the absolute edge of traction available to them. Shosi holds on to it. Pischke starting to have compounding problems here. Another off track and then tagging the outside wall. I wonder if Pischke may have used up a little bit more tire than he was planning on. As we're 5 laps left to go, checking back in on race leader Michael Watts. 6 drivers remain on the lead lap. A 7.7-second advantage to Watts over the fast Canadian MacArthur in 2nd. Hinchcliffe currently on the top 3. Now Hinchcliffe about 4.5 seconds up over Tom Ogle and Eddie Jones, running 4th and 5th. So still has to be careful here to hold on to the podium, that final podium spot. John Hastings had a bit of an off track. That's going to allow Shosi possibly to hold on to the 8th place uncontested as we are 4 laps left to go here at Charlotte. Now Ogle sitting back and forth had his fastest lap that time by a 1:21.3, so he's another driver getting faster and faster as the run progresses here. 4 laps left to go. Watts still in a league of his own, really. Watts working his way through the final chicane. We're going to click it over. 3 laps left to go, this time by a 9-second advantage over MacArthur. And that was just the fastest lap of the race as well, as gentlemen, a 1:20.21. Watts progressively getting faster here. Looks like Dean Gear's going to get back out on track after a lengthy 9 minutes in pit road. Garrett Cottingham still on pit road after almost 14 minutes. Now I'm surprised to see Watts still pushing as hard as he is here late into the race, at the very tail end of the race. Still getting faster and faster, but seems like it would be a risky call out of that 84 Lowe's back Ford Mustang. Let's see what the lap time is this time by. It was a 1:20.21 last time, and he is slowed way down, a 1:21.98. So I think with 2 laps left to go, Michael Watts may be putting it in cruise control here. Oh, Dan Hill showing involved in a crash report. Is he going to take a tow? No, he's going to be able to get fired back up. Let's see. It looks like the exact same. I'm going to assume it's the exact same incident we saw him earlier in the chicane down the backstretch. Just a little bit of curbing, gets the car unsettled, lightens up the rear end, and around it goes. And look at this. Hastings has caught back up the chassis in the battle for 8. Hastings driving very well here this evening. He is our hard charger, up 9 spots. But the white flag is out for Michael Watts. And we will bring it home here at the Roval. Josie extends that gap over 9th place driver Hastings to about a half second. Trying to make something happen here on the brakes. Hastings bouncing across the curb. He takes a peek at the inside line through turn 1. This is his last lap to try and make something happen side by side. Hastings locks up the brakes. Shows he carries a little bit more speed, but look at this. The checkered flag is out. Michael Watts, the road race ringer, gonna pick up another win here at Charlotte. Dwayne MacArthur looking like he's gonna get second. And John Hinchcliffe, barring any mistakes here, should be able to lock up third. And Michael Watt's going to enjoy a pretty spectacular celebration here. We're going to get these drivers up here into victory row. And we're going to get our mandatory celebratory photos going on. And what a good shot of Watts, MacArthur, and Hinchcliffe, your top three here following the Charlotte Roval. We're going to try and get these three up here into victory lane. And Watts, a well-deserved win and subsequent victory burnout. The last time Watts was up here on the top spot was September 11th at Kansas Oval. We're going to try and get these guys up here to victory lane. Looks like we've got MacArthur, we've got Hinchcliffe. That's enough to start a party. So starting things off, we're going to get John Hinchcliffe in the number 8 machine, finishing a very hard-fought third here today, up one spot. Still great pace, and it looks like he didn't have too much excitement out on track.
Yeah, I didn't shoot myself on the foot. I didn't spin off pit road or anything like that, so I'll take it.
Yeah, good day all the way around. A good points day for you in the number 8 machine. And we saw a lot of single car incidents, especially in the run. How hard is it to hold on to these next gen cup cars when we find ourselves at road courses such as the Roval today?
On the first couple laps, it's really, for me anyway, it's really tough. There's like no grip whatsoever. But once you get it to come in, it's much, much better.
Now, and it's kind of odd, John. Every other race we'd ever do, you see drivers taking at least 2 tires per stop. Seemed like everybody stayed on their original set here today at Charlotte. At what point did the tires really start coming in for you and starting to feel like the car was getting a little bit of grip?
For me, it was like between lap 8 and 10. And then after that, it's just grip the whole way. I think I ran some of my fastest laps right there at the end of the race, honestly. But it wasn't bad.
Well, John, always a great time talking to my friend. A great finish in third and that number 8 machine. And before we let you sign off and celebrate, who do you want to give a shout to that helps make it happen for you?
We got to take a shout out to Metro Ford for everything they do, Dwayne for everything he does for the league. Everybody that's had me here this year. I've been trying to earn some respect with everybody. Hopefully, I've done that. And we'll go shoot for a championship.
Awesome. Looking forward to it. And congratulations on third again here this evening, my friend.
Thanks again.
That was John Hinchcliffe bringing home a third. Up next, the world-famous fast Canadian Dwayne MacArthur bringing it home in second. A relatively uneventful race. It looked like you had a lot of clean track for the most part here today.
Yeah, it wasn't a whole lot of racing for myself. I think I only made one pass for position the entire race, so just basically a time trial for me.
Well, a lot of seat time, getting that extra time on the road course. And Dwayne, what was the driver radio sound like after that lap one, turn one incident? We can't hear it up here in the booth for very obvious reasons, but it was exciting chatter after that one.
Yeah, I didn't get to see it. There was some chatter, some sorries, some very Canadian sounding sorries, and but for the most part, after about 10, 15 seconds, it went silent again, and everybody started concentrating.
Now, Dwayne, speaking of sorries and of boots, what's it going to take to get more Canadians out here at the Metro Ford Cup Series? We had a few of the fans asking about it here tonight, but how do we reach that Canadian demographic and get some more nice, fast guys out on track?
Yeah, well, first we got to find them. Sim racing isn't overly popular. I live in a city of 1 million, and I think there's 4 of them here. So we just need to scour the internet and find our good. I think we have a few more Canadians coming out for next season, from what I've heard, but got to find some more Canadians. You're right.
Well, Dwayne, a great race tonight, locking your way into the next round of playoffs. Going to be exciting as we dwindle it down to 8 drivers competing. Before we let you sign off and celebrate and handle all the admin duties, who do you want to give a shout to that helps make this second place possible for you?
Yep, just a shout out, first of all, to our league sponsors, Metro Ford Chicago, Patrick Milligan, Victory Lane Sports, and Kimball.net. Check them all out. If you're looking for a new car, check out Metro40, metroford.com, new, used, and check out victorylanesports.com and Kimball.net. I want to thank all the admins that help keep this league running. Doing the administrative duties, and then most of all, I just want to thank everybody in this league that always keeps coming out, races the way they do. This is the best place to race, the best iRacing on the service, and it's because of them. So, and thanks to you for your broadcast.
Oh, always a pleasure, my friend. Congratulations on second, and looking forward to the next round of playoffs up here in the booth.
Yeah, had enough road courses and dirt courses for the week. Happy to get back to an oval.
Looking forward to it, my friend. Thank you.
You bet.
That was Dwayne MacArthur bringing it home in second. But up next, the man, the myth, the road racing ringer. Welcome back, Michael Watts, to the top spot, and hands down the dominant performance here tonight at Charlotte.
Thank you, James.
Now, Mike, it's been back since September 11th. You picked up a win. That was, I believe, at Kansas. Other than that, you've been rocking and rolling, picking up wins at Watkins, Michigan, and then just very consistently up here inside the top 5 when you're not inside the podium. What makes road racing such a good forte for you where you can come out here and put on the shows that we saw tonight?
Not real sure. I have some confidence on road course races because this was my primary discipline until I came to NASCAR. So, really, this is the only shot I have at beating Dwayne usually because Dwayne is usually fast everywhere.
Well, we're coming up into the next round of playoffs. You should be locked in the top 8. We've got Las Vegas, Homestead, Martinsville, and then we're going to dwindle it down to 4 at Phoenix. Any of those tracks with that road race background that you think are going to suit you well, or any ones that you're a little bit more confident about?
I struggle at the intermediate tracks. Maybe Martinsville I can have a decent run at.
Well, it's going to be an exciting one. And I guess my final question for you is how important is qualifying at these road courses, getting up in the top spot, and then having effectively a very clean track ahead of you when you start these races off?
Oh, it's very important. If you start 1 or 2 cars back, you're in their tire tracks, and this can be a dangerous track. Especially like on the first few laps when you're behind somebody, when you're coming up over that hill in the infield section, if you get too close to that wall on the right side, you can tear your car up and destroy it.
Well, Michael, good always having you back out on track, putting on a clinic here at the Charlotte Roval, and no stranger to this part, but you've got the privilege, the pleasure, the final send-offs of the evening, my friend. Who do you want to give a shout to that helps make it happen for you?
I want to thank my wife and family for allowing me to do this and let me spend time on this, and also the league admins for putting up a great league and having good drivers and just an overall good experience. So it's fun racing here, and I hope to be racing here for many years. Even when I stop winning, just down here running laps, that'd be great.
Awesome, Mike. Look forward to calling the action for as long as you're here as well, my friend. Congratulations, another spectacular finish, and hope to have you back up here next week.
Thank you, James. I'd love to.
Thank you, sir. And that was Michael Watts finishing the top spot here at the Charlotte Roval, accompanied by Dwayne MacArthur, John Hinchcliffe. Rounding out the top 3, Tom Ogle and Eddie Jones will round out the top 5. As always, on behalf of the Old Bastards Racing League Metro Ford Cup Series, Victory Lane Sports, Kimball.net, and Dr. Amy the Thyroid Fixer, my name has been James East with Team Goon Squad Broadcasting. Thank you all so much for spending your Sunday afternoon with us, and I look forward to having you back in the next one. Have a great day, everybody.